Hello, people. Good morning. Welcome to the class. Mm, I see that Patrick is attending the training from Nigeria, so it's 2:30 a.m. there. I definitely appreciate the commitment, guys. So waking up so early and being awake, and especially listening to the class is not an easy task. I too wake up early. I wake up at 4:30 uh, and start the class by 5:30 here in from Dubai. But I would still say, let's say, speaking and talking is a lot more easier early in the morning than listening. So definitely appreciate all your commitment. And yeah, hopefully we will continue the same enthusiasm throughout the end of the course. And I am sure that, let's say, whoever attends the class plus whoever follows all our other instructions, right? So we'll definitely be able to be at a point where they feel confident about getting a job in cybersecurity. In from Qatar as well. Excellent. So I guess it's 4:30 there now. TR is from Qatar. Nice. From Germany. Okay. So I don't know what time it was. It's there right now. 2:30 a.m. here in UK as well. Good guys. I mean, like I say, I really appreciate, and I hope so far it's worth the time that you're spending, especially the most precious sleeping hours you're spending on this course, and I'm in the van as well. Canada, I think it will be okay. It'll be from Pattaya. Okay. Herman from Gabon, and it's 2:30 a.m. there as well. Wow. Appreciate all of your efforts, guys. Thank you. See, yeah. Yeah, India current, like say, India is safest right now. So you guys are at the very right time. In fact, I would feel that 7 a.m. is a very appropriate for classes. You all are fresh. And email it. Very more importantly, we will be bothered about the logs coming out of these tools, like IPS logs, email gateway logs, web gateway logs. Right. So keeping this in mind, we will be spending some time in the future to talk more about these logs. However, you are not trying to become the administrator of firewall. You are not trying to become the administrator of content gateways like email gateway or web gateways. So, whatever knowledge you have acquired so far is good enough. I would probably say that you can go one step deeper. You can just go one step deeper and watch few videos about a specific web gateway so that you also know that what you've learned in the class and what the configuration talks about, so and how they match. Now what do I mean by watch videos about web gateway? Choose any specific web gateway, let's say zscaler, right? So and Semantic has a web gateway, McAfee or Trellix has a web gateway. So who else has? Lot of companies have web gateway. Cisco has a web gateway, email gateway. Also, there are many several vendors. So, okay. In the meantime, let me just share the screen. So, if you probably go to YouTube and watch a couple of videos about some maybe Palo Alto firewall, so you will just feel some confidence. Okay, fine. This is how the UI looks like. This is how things are configured. Don't go deep. Don't break your head in understanding each and everything about these tools that we have discussed so far. If you understood everything that was covered on the class, in the class, you are good. All right. So please read the instructions on the screen clearly. Okay, let's not bother the class by with repeated questions about Magic Portal access. It's okay. Magic Portal is not everything. You will get few other features extra in the Magic Portal. You can still get the same thing by attending the next batch, but please do not disturb the class for Magic Portal access. Right. So at the end of the class, I'll be showing you how to use Magic Portal as well. I'm pretty sure a lot of you have already got it, gotten the email link to reset the password and start using it. I'll show you how to do that. But for people who did not get the access, don't get disappointed. I will try to share the assignment. Assignments are the important thing that you should do from Magic Portal. I'll try to share the assignments offline, right? So that you will still be able to complete the assignments without the access of Magic Portal. Naveen, this is the type of questions that I don't want to answer. You belong to point number 3. All good. Wonderful. All right. So let's dive into the topics. Today, we will start discussing about endpoint security. Endpoint security, as we discussed earlier, so is a security that we provide for individual computers. Whatever we discussed so far, firewall, IPS, web gateway, email gateway, this kind of secures the entire network, all the users in the company. But we also take care of our endpoint security. That means security of individual computers like user machines and servers. Now, why should we do that? As we discussed on the other day, that so we should protect the let's say the computers from each other within the company. That means one of them might be a disgruntled employee who is unhappy with the maybe he did not get the promotion or the hike he deserves, and he will damage, let's say, do harm to our computers. Or there might be a person who has been, let's say, who has joined the company with the sole purpose of compromising our network. Or there's a third reason. So the thing is, the insider attacks need not always be deliberate. The insider attack need not always be deliberate. Sometimes it also happens accidentally. For example, a user is working from home and for some reason his antivirus is not updated or some security tools are not functioning properly, and he has accessed a lot of his personal emails and other things. In fact, I'll not give that example. Why? Because I have a slide for that. Let me just stop that example there. I have a slide for that, and we'll talk about it through the slides. The very first tool that comes to anybody's mind when we think about, let's say, endpoint security, or in fact, any kind of security, is the antivirus. So we'll begin from there. So I have combined three technologies together here: antivirus, host firewall, and HIPS, that is host intrusion prevention system. Now, why I have combined all these three modules in one, I'll talk about it in a while. So let's start with antivirus first. Okay. Okay. So what is antivirus? As most of us already know, that it protects the systems from malwares. So there is a malicious code, and if it tries to create any, typically the malwares will try to create some kind of harm to the computer, maybe deleting files, stopping services, encrypting the disk like ransomware, right? So stealing sensitive information, right? So, and such kind of malwares, the antiviruses will stop. Now, antiviruses work on signatures. That means in order to detect a specific file is a malware, it should know what a malware file looks like in the first place. So again, all of this is stored in the form of signatures. It's again nothing but a database of attributes to detect, to compare it with the files and to see if a particular file is malware or not. Right. So one of the key factors of this database is the hash values of the file. Every file has something called as a hash value. Right. So I create a file. It has a hash value. Okay. I send it to you. You send it to your friend, and like this, it goes on with 100 different people. The hash value is going to remain the same unless somebody changes some content in the file. So hash value basically means a fingerprint of the file. Right. So if I provide you a hash value, I can easily check whether this hash value is a malware or not. Now, again, I'm not just going to ask you to rely on your imagination. I think tomorrow we'll be spending a complete day on threat intelligence. When I talk about threat intelligence, I'll talk about malware hash values, so IP addresses, reputation check, and other things. So please hold on. But for now, understand that every file has a unique fingerprint called as file hash. So one of the important content of this signature is file hash database, right? So, and it's again, signatures are nothing but database of known malware files. Now, the signatures that we talked about in IPS, day before yesterday, we talked about the signatures in IPS. They are different from these signatures. How? Because IPS signatures are the database of known bad network traffic. IPS signature database is the database of known bad network traffic. But here, this is a database of known malware files. This is a file system, that is a network flow. So there are two different set of signatures. So don't think that like say, IPS signatures can work with antivirus signatures. Sorry, IPS can work with antivirus signatures and antivirus can work with IPS signatures. No, it cannot happen. They are two different set of signatures. So unlike IPS signatures, AV signatures, antivirus signatures are updated every single day. Can anybody recall how frequently do we update IPS signatures? Excellent. 15 days. Approximately every 15 days, the vendors will release the new signature patterns, so that like say they will add another 10, 15, 20 signatures to it, and they will release the signatures. But in antivirus case, they release the updates every single day. Why? Because it is said that on a daily basis, these vendors will be dealing with at least 3,000 to 5,000 different types of malwares every single day. I'm talking about new malwares. Imagine, uh, let's say, the coronavirus, what it did, right? So one new malware or let's say virus came in and it devastated the entire world. But in terms of cyber world, we see new viruses or any other forms of malware every single day, at least 5,000 of them, new ones, right? So the vendors like Trellix, when I say Trellix, again, it's McAfee. So again, just to think in mind, because a lot of people know McAfee as an antivirus. So now the McAfee name has been rebranded to Trellix. So I'll still use the names interchangeably every now and then. So please bear with me. So McAfee antivirus, it could be Trend Micro, let's say Avast is there. So again, Kaspersky, Microsoft Defender. So all these malwares, all these companies have something called as labs or their R&D department, where they will be analyzing all the new malwares every single day, and they'll be coming up with signatures every single day. So when they are released, it is important for every customers that they update their signatures on a daily basis. Without the latest signatures, the antivirus is will not protect us against the latest threats. Yes, Mohan, we let's say I have seen the news that US has banned Kaspersky. It's a both good and bad news. Okay, there might be a question like this. So Sainath is asking which is the best web protection protecting antivirus in your opinion? Okay, so any tenured guy in the industry knows that all the companies, at least all the reputed companies, their antiviruses or their email gateway or their web gateway or their firewall is really good, right? So they did not become leaders just by, let's say, developing this product, because they are good. They have all the features. They work as expected. So when you want to compare one against other, the technical answer, in fact, this could also be an interview question. According to you, which is the best firewall, right? So it's actually a trick question, right? So because there is also an open source firewall, there are a couple of, I think at least I know one or two of them, open source firewalls which are very effective. A lot of companies use open source firewall like pfSense, right? So exactly. So now, which is good? The answer is always a properly configured one. Which antivirus is good? Which firewall is good? Which IPS is good? If anybody asks you this question in the interview, always say that all the firewalls are, let's say, almost made equally. All of them have very similar features. So a good firewall is a firewall that has been properly configured, right? So which car will keep you safe? Mercedes or Benz? Sorry, Mercedes or BMW, right? So both of them are good cars. Both of them have very similar body strength structure and other things. So both of them are good. Let's say it depends on, let's say, who is driving it ultimately, right? So how you are driving it, right? So it's all depends on how you configure the tools, guys. Engines are different. Yeah, even in the case of firewall and antiviruses, the engines are different. There is actually an engine in antivirus as well. We call it a scan engine. So there is a scan engines are different, but let's say, do they work differently? No, they work in the same fashion. So they are made to detect malwares. All right. So typically today's products are actually anti-malware. What is the difference between antivirus and anti-malware? Nothing much. Today, every antivirus is actually anti-malware. Malware is the bigger umbrella. Okay, virus is one just product. Sorry, one just type of malware. So for some reason, the name antivirus has caught up. But today, most of the uh, products that we see are actually anti-malware products. So there are two types of detections that happens. So one is the on-access scanner, and the other one is on-demand scanner. Now, what is on-access scanner? As the name indicates, it will scan the files on access. As soon as you touch a file, it will be scanned, right? So it could be in terms of double clicking a file. It will be antivirus will kick in first and then scan the file. It could be that you are downloading the file from the internet and it touches your file system. Immediately, the antivirus will do the scan. That means automatically, whenever a file is being copied or opened, right? So any kind of access we are doing with the file, immediately the scan will begin, right? So system, let's say user or the system accessing the file, opening a file, downloading the file, copying the file. So any of these activity, basically this is a real-time scan. What we call it is real time. You do it now, the scan is already happening immediately, real time. On access, real time scan. The other one is the on-demand scan. So this is a scheduled scan. So for example, rather than just waiting for the malwares to trigger, what I will do is I will scan the system myself voluntarily. Typically, this will be a full scan, right? So a scheduled scan in companies that will run on demand whenever I want it to run. As an administrator, whenever I want to run, I will run the antivirus scan, right? So and typically it will be configured on Thursdays or Fridays or second half, because when the antivirus like a scan is running, it typically tends to slow down the computer a bit. Antivirus actions. Sentinel built-in AI. We'll talk about Sentinel-1. Sentinel is not a typical antivirus. It's a EDR solution. Jay, so please explain the antivirus signature and how it's different from IPS signature. Again, I told you, Patrick, IPS signatures are network-based. There is a database of network patterns, and antivirus signatures are the database of files, right? So the attributes of file. That means the antivirus signature will contain mostly hash values, and the network patterns will contain mostly the network patterns, which is nothing but the packet structure, the contents of the packet. So there are two different signatures. They don't work with each other. Okay, thank you, Vikas. There could also be an ad hoc scan. As we told, like say ad hoc scan is basically whenever there is a difference. Of course, we can do an on-demand scan, ad hoc or scheduled. So typically, most of them will do it scheduled. Ad hoc scan means I will run it whenever I want it. For example, I know that as an administrator of the company and as a endpoint security engineer in the company, I have scheduled to scan all the computers on Thursday second half. But on one specific computer, I want to do it just right now. Okay, so I want to do it right now. Instead of waiting for the scheduled time, I want to do it right now. So that is ad hoc scan. You can say so, Sandeep. Some sequence of not bytes. Yeah, sequence of bytes could be okay. Yes, Sandeep, that is appropriate. All right. So what does the antivirus do? It will either clean the file. So if there is a malware part of it attached to the a clean file, it will try to clean the file. So remove the malicious code and let the rest of the file run. And then there is delete option. That means if the antivirus finds a file to be malicious, it can delete the file. And then there is quarantine. So basically, it will put the file in a place where it cannot execute. It's like putting a person in a jail. So he'll not be able to do any harm. Right. So quarantining, I mean, say everybody is familiar with the quarantining, especially after COVID. If a person was infected with a COVID, so he was made to sit, let's say, isolated, right? So where he'll not be able to spread it to anybody else. So here, quarantine basically means putting the file in a place where the folder will not have executable permission. So that means no file can execute from that folder. So the interesting story between this is the word quarantine actually come from the Black Death days, right? So 13th, 14th century, when there was a Black Death. Quad means four, right? So quad, the quarantine comes from quad, four. So what they used to do is basically they used to make the ships whenever they were coming from a different countries. They used to make the ships stand in the sea for 4 weeks. Okay, 4 weeks. And if everybody on the ship is alive, then they will let the people inside on the land. If one person has plague back in those days, and let's say the entire ship will get infected eventually within 4 weeks, everybody will be dead. So that was the place. Let's say that is how they used to quarantine in the early olden days. Now there can also be sometimes clean failed, delete failed, and quarantine failed. The actions. Now this is very important for the security analyst because sometimes what happens is malware will try to clean but it will fail. So it will try to delete the file because it will, but it will fail because the malware file might be half executed already. And when the file is already executed, so the file is locked by a particular process. So it might not, we might not be able to delete it. You see that, right? So when you try to, you open a Word file, okay, you open a Word file and in the back end, go to the file and try to delete it. You will not be able to delete it. It says that file is in use. So sometimes the antivirus will not be able to delete the file. So in such cases, the action will be delete failed. Now these antivirus actions in the logs are very important for us because that means the antivirus has detected the log and it has failed to delete it. So it is the malware is still there on the system. So we have to manually delete the malware. So this is a little bit of a let's say high priority incident. When we get there will be an alert that we configure saying uh, malware detected but not deleted. Malware detected but not deleted. So it could probably be a P2, priority 2 incident. Again, don't worry, what is the priority severity? We'll talk about that. So that means it's a little bit critical incident. So antivirus actions helps during the alert analysis. This is what I was talking about. So then host firewall. We don't quarantine the file, Swati. It's typically the antivirus will do it on its own. Right. So if the configuration is some antivirus will allow you to take the action, delete or quarantine based on the confidence level. So if the confidence is high, the antivirus will just delete the file. If the confidence is low that the file is a malware, then it will quarantine the file. Next, we'll discuss about host firewall. Now, why should we talk about a host level firewall, right? We already spoken about once it is quarantined, we would not have access to that file. Yes, so if it is quarantined, it will be on your system, but you will not be able to access it. You will not be able to access. It's a hidden file, basically. It's a hidden folder where the files will be stored. And moreover, even any kind of other malware activities or other malwares cannot invoke this file because none of the files can be executed on this folder. Shubham, that will be part of our analysis. How do we clean the file if it is failed or delete failed? How do we delete it? Yes, antivirus will, let's say antivirus will require your admin privileges. So antivirus runs with admin privileges. So that means that it has a capability to access the complete file structure. Locking period for quarantine files, it's basically, see, every time a file is stored, it's unnecessarily we are consuming space. So what, it's not kind of a locking, but it will be retention period. So after 30 days, the quarantine files will be deleted. Not locking, but retention period will be defined. So quarantining the email is a different thing, Pradeep, right? So where some companies will allow the users to take a decision, right? So we feel that this is a bad email. So you take a decision whether you want to allow this mail or not. And you have to go to a specific page. You will get a link, click on that. It will take you to a specific page and you can either whitelist the email address, blacklist the email address, depending on, let's say, what you feel is right. The terms quarantine and containment gives the same meaning. Is it same meaning? It it might sound similar, but they are used in two different contexts, right? So containment, one of the actions of containment might be quarantining a file, but containment, let's say there might be a lot of other things also to contain. For example, let's say immediately blocking an IP address could also be in containment. That means stopping the spread of any malicious activity. Even let's say removing the machine from the network is also a containment. If the malware is present in the system, is fileless type means how can I detect? So the thing is, you need to understand the concept of what is fileless malware, right? So even the fileless malware will actually have some kind of embedded files. They run in RAM directly. They run in the RAM directly. So in the RAM, even if you detect a file hash, we'll be able to identify the malwares. Of course, there are today, not only we are depending on the signatures, we also have behavior-based engines to detect based on the behaviors. We also have EDRs today, which are much more powerful. We'll talk about EDRs later on. If you want to know more about malwares and how to analyze them and how the antiviruses work, there is a free course with in Udemy. So called, sorry, it's not free on Udemy, but on our website, socexperts.com, there's a free course on malware analysis. I would not recommend you to go through it right now. It's a little advanced level course. So hold on, there will be a time when I will tell you to go through it and you can go through it then. Narsimulu, your question, I have already answered your question, why it will fail if the file is already half run, right? So if the file is already under execution and it detects the file, so you'll not be able to delete it because it's already being used. So you cannot delete a file that is in use. And it's not the firewall feature we're talking about here, it's the antivirus feature. Yes, Hanumant, I'll talk about that. Host firewall, okay. We're not talking about host firewall yet. We have to remove the file. If the quarantine fails, it will be our responsibility to validate if it is a malware. That's where the malware analysis comes into picture. And then if we find that it is a malicious file, then we have to manually delete the file. All right, so we spoke about network firewall already. Why are we discussing about host firewall? Is there really a need that, let's say, after having a network firewall in place, so should we really try to implement a firewall on the host? It is required because the network firewall, what it does is basically it will defend off all the attacks coming in from the internet. The network firewall that we have placed at the edge will defend all the attacks coming in from the internet. However, the attacks can also originate from inside the company. One computer might actually attack the other company. Sorry, one computer might actually attack the other computer in the company. To stop such kind of attacks, we would need the host firewall. Basically, these are called as insider threats. Now, again, as I was saying, insider threat might also need not always be a deliberate attack. Sometimes it might also be an accidental attack. Now, what do I mean by that? Let's consider a user working from home. Okay, for some reason his antivirus is not updated or not functional, and So its AV signature has not been updated from last 10 days. So he has visited several websites for personal work, and he accessed emails and attachment from his personal email. And one of these attachment was basically a malware. So because of that, his machine is now infected. Okay, he's not done it purposefully, but let's say he has done it accidentally, but he also doesn't know that his machine is infected. Now, after 10 days, right? So when he comes back, the malware has actually disabled the antivirus, because that will be one of the function of most of the malwares, to disable antivirus. So now he has come back to office. He has connected to the network. Now imagine that this malware was designed to spread. So as soon as you connect to the network, so it might actually start to attack other computers or spread to other computers. That is why, even though we have a network firewall, it becomes necessary that we have the firewall and an IPS at the host level as well. This is an important question. Typically, they don't ask it for firewall, but they'll ask it for IPS. When there is a network IPS, why do we need an host IPS? So in order to stop the attacks coming from within the company or insider threats. So you have to understand that we're talking about the, you might be questioning, let's say, Anand, what is the antivirus doing here? In these two computers, there is already antivirus, right? So that will still protect the computers. It cannot, because this is not a file that is coming in, right? So if it tries to spread and copy itself, yes, the antivirus might kick in and stop the file. What if it is doing a scanning activity? What if the malware is actually doing a scanning activity? Basically, it is trying to get more information over the network. Then antivirus has no control over it, because antivirus can only work on files. If it is not a file, then antivirus cannot do anything, right? So host firewall is basically looking at the traffic coming in and out of the laptop. You can think about, you have the network interface card, right? So of course, nobody uses wired connection today. Even for Wi-Fi also, there will be a network interface card. So it is sitting on the edge of this, the firewall, the host firewall sits on that network adapter, and it inspects all the traffic that is coming in and out of the system. Right. So here again, firewalls, even the host firewall will work on ACLs, or also called as firewall rules, access control list. We don't place the host firewall, it's an application installed on the computers. So you can imagine it to be working at the network level. If you consider a wired network, wherever we connect the cable, so there is a network adapter. We can imagine, okay, this is just for the sake of understanding, okay? So it actually works at the process level, not at the interface level. So whenever the traffic is coming in and out of the system, it will be scanned. So you can consider that all the applications running within the computer can be different host machines, and outside can be considered as internet. So the firewall will scan everything that is going in and out of the computer. So HIPS, host intrusion prevention system, right? So again, works on network signatures. These signatures are different from antivirus signatures, but however, the host IPS signatures are same as the network IPS signatures, right? So IPS is an IPS, whether it is a network or a host, so it will still work on the same signatures. So again, it also works at the network level, right? So now the reason why I discussed all these three products together is, today, whenever we are selling antivirus, both these, firewall and IPS, HIPS, are embedded into it. Right, so most of the antiviruses today have antivirus, firewall, and IPS. All three of them together in one product. Host firewall need not get any updates, because host firewall does not work on anything that the company writes. I mean, the vendor writes. You see, signatures are written by vendors, but the firewall rules are written by administrator of the company. firewall rules are written by the administrator of the company, so firewall need not get any kind of updates. We'll talk about that, Gautam. There are a lot of behaviors. That's what we do as a SOC analyst. That is how that is our job. But we'll be talking about that in the future. We're trying to establish basics, guys. Try to understand that. So if you jump and like say, how do I analyze malware? How do I analyze threat? So hold your horses. I know that you guys are eager to learn, and we will be talking about all these things in the future. Okay, that's a good question, Jai. So today I'll probably answer this. I might have a day on EDR later on. So when we do a EDR class, I will answer this question. But to answer you right now, if you are using a EDR, you don't have to have antivirus today because EDRs also have AV capabilities. XDR or EDR is the next generation antivirus. We again, Rajnikant, we will cover that in one day. We'll talk about EDR, XDRs as well. So SOC and antivirus, or basically the endpoint security products. So how do we use it? XDR is not a SIM solution. So XDR is it's basically a combination of endpoint and network detection, but it cannot be compared to SIM because SIM does not rely on AI, whereas EDR, XDRs rely on AI for threat detection. CrowdStrike is a good EDR. All right. So how does SOC work with antiviruses? So the SOC might use the antivirus to check if a system is, if not is, checking if a system is running with latest antivirus signatures or not. Maybe I feel something fishy in one of the computers as a SOC analyst, and I want to investigate it. One of the steps that I will perform mostly is that I want to check whether this computer has the latest antivirus signatures or not. It's the very first thing that I want to confirm that it has latest signatures or not. So that's when I will use the antivirus server to get that update. When a malware detection happens, what is the action taken by the antivirus? That did it clean the file, delete the file, or quarantine the file or not? So whenever there is a malware detection alert triggered, the first thing that I want to check is whether what is the action? Is it clean or delete failed or quarantine failed? If it is delete failed or quarantine failed, immediately I will raise an incident so that they can manually clean the malware. So during analysis, we might even raise tickets and assign them to endpoint security team to run a malware scan. You see, we might have the access to the tool, the antivirus tool, but we will not be able to take any actions as a SOC analyst. We will be only able to read the data from the tool, but not take any action. So whenever you think that a full scan is necessary for a particular system, right? So on one of the system, again, which is acting a little suspicious, you want to run a full antivirus scan. You cannot do it yourself. You have to raise a ticket or incident and ask the endpoint security team who actually owns the antivirus product. So they will actually perform the scan. So this is how we interact with either the antivirus or the antivirus team, the endpoint security team. When we talk about endpoint security, understanding the endpoint security manager becomes very important. You can, but it depends on whether you will have the permission or not. So I'm talking about a SOC analyst, not a computer user. Okay, and the SOC analyst will not be able to initiate the scan. So you have to create a ticket. The tool has the capability. The tool has the capability, but you cannot do it. because of the privilege issue. All right. So what is the endpoint security manager? So first of all, let's understand why do we need a manager for this. So what happened? Let's say we have products like antivirus, we have HIPS, we have host firewall, we have DLP, we have encryption, we have FIM. These are all the different kinds of products that actually goes on an endpoint. Okay, so these are all the different kinds of products that we might install on an endpoint to secure it, on a computer to secure it. Now, in a company, there'll be thousands of machines, not one or two, there'll be thousands of machines. Now imagine me installing let's say administrator trying to install antivirus on thousands of computers. It's going to take almost a month time. Even if it tries to cover 20 computers, 30 computers per day, you can imagine how many days it will take to cover 10,000 or 1,000 machines. That is not an ideal way of doing things, right? So that's why lot of plus now see installing is one thing. Installing is okay, fine. You can use some Active Directory, SCCM, and we can still push the installer and install the antivirus. But how about configuration? I want to make the configuration of 50 configuration changes on 50 of the computers. How can I do that? So going to the individual computer one by one, it will take a lot of time, right? So that's why whenever the endpoint security solution companies sell, they always sell a manager as well. Sometimes also referred to as endpoint platform, endpoint security server. Now, what is this? This is basically a centralized server, one single server, right? So, and this server will indirectly control all the applications installed on the 1,000 computers. That means, as an administrator, if I want to configure, let's say on this one computer, I want to configure the antivirus. I don't have to log into this computer directly. I will log into the server. I will make the necessary changes, configuration change, and send the instructions to this computer through the server. I myself will not have to configure directly on the individual computers one by one. Similarly, I want to do an antivirus configuration change on all my computers. So what I do as an administrator, I log on to the endpoint security manager. I do the configuration change and then push the change to all the computer at once. You see, the management becomes a lot more easier if we have a endpoint security manager. You can consider it like a master. Yes. I think I have a slide for that. Architecture. So what are the endpoint security manager? Typically, it will be a Windows server. Mostly it will be a Windows server on which you install some kind of endpoint security manager application. Okay. What it does is basically it will collect the list of all the assets from Active Directory. Active Directory is a server which hosts all the users and all the computers of the company. So it will collect the list of all the assets from the Active Directory and it will try to put the agent first. Agent, every antivirus has it, agent. The agent is a tool that will be responsible for communicating between the server and the actual products. Right. So after that, after the agent is installed, through the help of agent, now that server can manage this agent. Through the help of this agent, we'll be installing all the other products like encryption, FIM, DLP, antivirus, firewall, HIPS, etc. Like this, I can do it on all the computers. The administrator can just log into the server and do all the configurations. So the popular vendors include McAfee EPO or Trellix CPO today. Then we have Semantic Endpoint Protection Manager, SCPM. And then Trend Micro Control Manager. Also, there's a Apex one today. Functions of the endpoint security platform is to install security solution on the endpoints. Okay, so I have a new let's say computer in the company. So The endpoint security manager will help us in installing the new security solution like antivirus HIPS. We can upgrade the security solution. So we can change the from version 5.2 to 5.3. If we want to upgrade the antivirus solution, we can do that. We can update the signatures. For example, antivirus will need signature updates every single day. HIPS will need signature updates almost every 15 days. So in order to do that, I can do it from one common server. Right. So, and then let's say we can also do configuration changes. I talked about this example. So if I want to make the configuration changes on one computer or a group of computer or all the computers, I can do it from the server. And then it also is responsible for collecting the logs. Like when there is an antivirus sitting on this end computer and the antivirus detects a malware, a log will be generated. And that log will go up to the endpoint security manager. That means as a administrator of the endpoint security, if I want to know how many malware detections have happened, I don't have to go to individual computers and check. I will log into my endpoint security manager and I'll just ask the question as to how many detections have happened on which machines the detections have happened. The centralized manager where we get all the log information. So these are all the functions of the endpoint security manager. Remember that the endpoint security manager is not a security solution. It does not secure our company. Okay, it's just a manager that will help us in managing the actual security tools like antivirus, host firewall, host IPS, DLP, encryption software, FIM, and whatnot. So in order to see, the thing is, tomorrow we'll be talking about SIM. SIM relies on logs. So the SIM will get the logs from the endpoint security manager itself. It will not get the logs from the endpoints directly. The SIM will not get the logs from endpoints directly. It will get the logs from endpoint security manager because, as you understood from the previous slide here, all the events happening, all the logs that are happening on individual computer are actually making their way to the endpoint security manager. So the SIM will directly get the logs from endpoint security manager, not from the end machines. And also, the SOC team will be having read-only access to the endpoint security manager. Some of the companies will provide you the read-only access. This is what I was talking about, the privilege. If you are the administrator, you can actually initiate a scan from the endpoint security manager. I can log into my endpoint security manager and I can initiate a scan on one machine or 10 machines, or in fact, all the machines together. But as a SOC analyst, you will only be given read-only access. So that means you can only read the data, but you cannot make any configuration changes. So for people who are wondering why so many solutions, why there are so many solutions in the cybersecurity world, right? So just have a analogy here. Now think about a window, right? So when you talk about window, the protection will be from a different place. So for updating, for upgrade, for running a scan, for any kind of actions that you want to perform, you have to raise a ticket, Sumit. So defense in depth, very good, Sandeep. That is the right answer. Let's talk about the real life analogy. If you consider a window, the windows will have different types of security here. You see, first of all, there is a glass, and the glass has a very specific role. Okay, what is the function of the glass? What will it protect against? The glass will protect us against what? Wind and dust. Excellent. Mostly wind, of course, dust from dust also. Of course, rain, good, very good. Then, so, okay, so hold on. The grills, what does the grills protect against? The glass will not protect against thief. A thief can easily break the glass. So the grill is the thing that will probably protect against the thieves, right? So defense from animals, birds, and humans, robbers, right? So there is a mesh and a net, which is basically defense from insect. Then there is a glass door, right? So or a slider, which will defend from cold winds or let's say dust and whatever you guys snakes. Wow. Okay. Yeah, it depends on let's say where you stay. There might also be snakes, and there might also be curtains which will protect from sunlight. So when we don't want the sunlight, we can also have the drapes or curtains which will protect us. So that means you see one single thing, and we are trying to have multiple levels of security. Directly or indirectly, we actually do it on a day-to-day basis. We just don't, let's say, pay much attention, right? So similarly, in today's world, so we have multiple security solutions like network security solution. Network security solution cannot help us in terms of blocking the infected USB. So that means if you have a firewall in place, how will it help if I take an infected USB and put it into my computer? Can the firewall stop it? It cannot. I'm not passing the USB through the firewall, right? So I'm just taking it in my hand and just going into my computer, I mean, into my company and putting it into my computer. So how can a firewall stop that attack? Similarly, a DLP cannot stop malware because DLP is for data loss prevention. Let's not worry about it. We did not discuss about it. Antivirus cannot stop the data or let's say it cannot stop the laptop from getting stolen. Right. So web gateway cannot stop phishing emails. You see, one tool cannot do everything. So we need to have different types of solutions in order to tackle different types of problems. So that's what we call as a different. So we provide the security at the physical layer. That means we put locks and access card at every door. So right. So we have cameras for monitoring. We have perimeter security. That is the edge security, network security like IPS, email gateway, web gateway, host security like antivirus, HIPS, DLPs, encryption softwares. Application level security is also there. And then data security like DLP comes here actually. DLP and encryption comes in data. So these are the different levels of security that we implement in any company. What we call as defense in depth. All righty. Again, in fact, like say when I was in my career, so even I was thinking, like say, why the hell are we using so many technologies? So I wanted to just give that clarification that yes, it's very common across in our day-to-day life also that we will be using. I have a PPT. We'll talk about vulnerability management later on. Do you have the energy to listen to another solution or another technology, not solution? Difference between physical perimeter security was the network perimeter. Perimeter security is nothing but the network perimeter. Physical security is gates, doors, etc. Lots of energy. Okay. I'm little skeptical in starting this because it will take at least 30 minutes for me to finish it. So this is because the next solution that I'm trying to talk about will be okay. Hold on. I think let me see if I have. No, I don't have it. Sorry. Okay, I'll cover a small technology. I wanted to cover threat intelligence today, but we'll do it tomorrow. Okay. Tomorrow there will be a class, guys. Today is Friday, right? Yeah. Guys, tomorrow there will be a class. Please remember that tomorrow there will be a class, same time. Okay, good. I'll probably take the time to explain Magic Portal. So if you guys have already logged in, some people will not be able to see the screen. So as a you will have to log in as a student. So Magic basically the name Magic is basically again it's just a thing that we framed called mastery and growth in cybersecurity. That's how the word magic actually came in. Mastery and growth in cybersecurity. The link again, okay, holiday today. You are not able to join. All right. So you are obviously going to log in as a student. You might have already registered and reset your password. Once you enter the password again, right? So you will take you to the dashboard. But typically, for the first time login, you will be taken to the profile. So without completing this profile, you will not be able to move ahead. So please make sure that you are completing this profile. Okay. And once you complete the profile, you are free to move around the entire tool. So what do I do here? You go with the before you begin, right? So getting started, let's say here we'll be talking about some importance about what are the different resources. Not everything can be applicable for you, but just go through it. And let's say the triple E methodology that we spoke about on the first day, and what is the importance of mock interviews, right? So we also have resources like job openings. We have stopped updating it right now, but let's say we have how to introduce yourself as an experienced candidate, as a working professional. We have the questions from different companies. So you can just type in any company here. Let's say Capgemini. We do have, oh, come on. Resources. CSIQ is nothing but cybersecurity interview questions, right? So it's Capgemini here now. Okay, here it is Capgemini. So a few people who have attended in the past, so they have put their questions here. Some might not be very legible, but yeah, if you can understand, let's say they asked about self-introduction, project, what you have done in your college, risk, vulnerability, threat, what is the architecture of Splunk and how does it work, explain DDoS attack, right? So brute force attack and analysis of an alert. So here, why the reason to join cybersecurity domains, say about any use case, talk about any use cases, tell me about infrastructure. Again, the students have put in their own words, right? So sometimes there might be, you see here, say the about any use case. This doesn't make sense. So basically they're talking about tell me let's say more about a specific use case. What is the vulnerability management? So here, this for this particular student, it was DNS, DDoS versus DOS was asked. Splunk components were asked. For 15 minutes, these questions were asked. Like this, for different companies, we have tried to capture the questions. As long as we run the tool, guys. As long as we decide to run the tool, you will have access to it. And then, like say, I talked about reading 3 articles, right? So you can always come here and just go to these websites and any website for that matter, and just read a couple of articles. Right? So the latest articles you can read. CV related points. Like say if you want to create your CV, these are the points that you can add it into your CV for L1, for L2. Again, I don't want you to guys to just copy paste the points. Just read through it, understand them, and whatever is relevant to your experience and your level, add them. How to prepare your CV? There are some videos. Like say there are also sample CV formats. So these are ready to use templates. That means I can just download it. I can just download it. Okay. And edit it. So probably my name is not Anand. So whatever your name is, you can put that. Let's say Shubham. Right. So my phone number is different. My email address is different. I don't know, maybe Splunk. I don't know, maybe Proofpoint. So I want to change this to something else. So you can just use this ready to use templates. And then one of the important resources, assignments. Okay, so there's also attendance section. So I'll not worry too much about attendance right now. If you are able to go there to the attendance page, okay, so you'll not be able to see anything. How do we mark attendance? Is typically the trainer will initiate the attendance marking at random times, because again we did not wanted to do it at the beginning or the end of the class. We wanted to do it at the random time so that students actually attend the class regularly. So the trainer will initiate the attendance marking, and during that time you will get a hand icon here. You should just click on it and your attendance will be marked. Maybe we'll do it sometime in the future, but I'm not very serious about attendance for this class. And then there is an assignment. So for you guys, this is a sample user account for me, which I logged in as a CCL student. But for CSC, we start from network security solution. Okay, very important. Listen to this. So I click on a specific assignment. This will be the first assignment that you will be seeing. Okay, go to submit assignments first. And within the submit assignment, I'll go to the assignment in question, which is vendors of network security solution. I will download, and there is a instruction on the assignment. Identify at least 5 enterprise vendors in the world of cybersecurity. This will help you in getting to know cybersecurity industry better and make you sound like an experienced cybersecurity professional. Hint, check Gartner Magic Quadrant. So I can download this answer template. So this is the answer template. And once you fill it up, you download, hold on, still downloading. So let's say Cisco, who is the vendor of the firewall, Cisco, and the product name is ASA, Adaptive Security Appliance. Like this, I fill up all the things, save it, save it, and I can come back to the same page here and upload it. Once I have done my job, I'll be able to upload it. And if I want to put any comments, I can put any comments and submit. So here is what I have submitted it right now. Assignment added successfully. Now, what we have done is we cannot review all the assignments. So what we have done is something called as peer submission. That means peer review. You can review your friend's assignment. Now that is beneficial at 2 levels. One, not only are you going to learn something by doing your own assignment, you're also learning by reviewing somebody else's assignment. So if I go to peer submission, I can choose the assignment that I want to review. For example, network security solution, and whatever has been submitted in your batch. For example, I have joined some other batch. So for example, I am the student of CCL 9. So obviously, as of now, CCL 9, let's say probably was 2-year-old batch. So as of today, there is no submission in CCL 9. That's why I'm not seeing any assignments, but you will be able to see because you are part of CSC 100 group. So you will be able to see in the peer submission. If you go, you'll be able to see all the submissions within your group. I think you'll be able to see 3 assignments and you can review them. And when you review your friend's assignment, you're actually basically learning how others are submitting the assignment. So it's a good way to explore how other people are solving it and let's say get a different perspective, etc. And certificate you can download it from here. I think it'll be available for you to download after 2 months or one let's say 6 weeks. I think. Okay, I'll confirm that with my development team. After 6 weeks, we'll be able to download the certificate after 6 weeks from the start date. And if you do not have access to the Magic Portal, you will not have the access to download the certificate. And don't worry too much about the certificate, guys. So I believe a lot of you guys are concerned about certificate. It has nothing to do with the ability of getting your job. Nobody cares whether you have a certificate from SOC experts or not. We are not a globally recognized certificate. We are not CEH. We are not EC Council. We are not CompTIA. So nobody cares whether you have a certificate from SOC experts or not. So don't worry too much about the certificate. Okay, so but feel confident to say that you have completed the course with SOC experts. Let's say about the SOC analyst training, and these are the topics that I am aware of. One more interesting thing about this portal, in fact, this is how we actually started. The main purpose of starting the Magic Portal was to create mock interview requests. I would not recommend you to create it right now. Okay, so I'll tell you, if you want to do it, it's up to you, your will and wish. Earlier, we used to give the coins for paid batches for people who used to pay 19,500, right? So we used to give 2,000 coins for them. That means out of 19,000 that the student pays us, we used to give them back 2,000 in the form of coins. And they could have used these coins to raise any request like mock interview, technical query, borrow experience, and S3 Connect. Right, so all these are the different types of tickets that a student can create with or Genie. Who is a Genie? Genie is basically our alumni who will take your mock interview or share his experience or her experience, or you can clarify any technical questions with them. So how do you raise a request? S3 is basically, we used to call them a student success specialist. So this is basically whenever you have any concerns and challenges with the training itself. That you don't like the trainer. Let's say this is not a this is a way to reach our team basically, and this will not carry any coins. If you see here, it's a 0 coin. Right, so it's basically for you to raise a complaint. They're saying that you are not happy with something, or maybe you have missed some classes, so you want to connect with the S3 and ask them how I will be able to recover, or maybe you feel that, let's say, the trainer is going too fast, or you feel that the entire class is understanding something and you are not able to. Basically, for emotional support. Let's say to help you be aligned, to help your voice reach the management. So for all these things, we used to use S3 Connect. Not only this, the S3 is used to call the students also. Every 3 days once, every week, every student will get 2 calls from our student success specialist. Ask them, are they attending the classes? They will check the report. They will open the report and dashboard and show them, boss, you are not submitting the assignments. Why are you not doing this? This. Let's say we used to just follow up with the students. Again, this was almost a year ago, but in the recent days, no, we are not doing this. Anyways, the important thing for you is the mock interview. And again, these are all divided by topics. Like say the concept for dividing the topics is, how can I take mock interview at the beginning of the class? Because I will only understand the whole concept after maybe mid or even after completing 80% of the class. So what we did was we divided it based on the concepts. So I can take the network mock interview only for networking concepts. I can take the mock interview only for, let's say, vulnerability management. Tomorrow we complete threat intelligence, right? So I can take the mock interview only for threat intelligence. Right, so like this, you can raise a mock interview request. Don't do it right now. Hold on. And you can see all the requests here. So whatever requests you have submitted, what is the update that you have got? So the Cyber Genie will give you a call and conduct your mock interview, and they will update your marks as well. There will be update giving you a score of from 1 to 10. This was a test ticket. So I think we are just trying to check de assignment and all. Yeah, that's about the magic portal, guys. So, but again, for this batch, obviously, we don't want it to give any free coins because I know it will be we will be flooded with the requests. So you have to purchase the things. Again, I'm not asking you to do that. It is nothing. It's not a upselling technique that I'm using. It's up to you. I'm not forcing anybody to do that. So you can go to wallet and you can add buy coins. Okay. And load. Like say, for example, you want to take one mock interview, just load 100 rupees, take a mock interview. It's not mandatory. Sure, Akash, give me some time. I'll convert all these files into a PPT. I can share it. No problem with that. Typically, it'll be 24 hours. Within, let's say, what we used to do is basically till if you raise a request within 8 p.m., you'll get the call within the same day. 8 p.m. IST, you'll get the call within the same day. We used to have some problems with international students, and there we used to just ask the student to mention the time, what time you want the interview according to the IST time, so that, like I said, the genie knows when to reach out to the international student. And for international students, we used to use mostly WhatsApp calling or sometimes even Teams. It's okay, guys. Take it easy about the Magic Portal. Don't get disappointed. It's not a big deal, right? So it's just a tool that where we have organized all the things. That's it. It's not. You're not going to get extraordinarily great things. Okay, there are certain things that are clearly organized and kept. That's it. So relax. Next batch you can attend and get the access to Magic Portal. Again, please do not repeat this. I told you that, like say, it's unnecessarily create kind of animosity within you. You will not start attending the batches properly. You will start hating us. So please don't do that. So relax. You are still getting a lot. 85% of our information is through our classes. So you are getting 85% still. So do not get upset and let's say stop attending the classes just because you're not getting the 15%. Again, please try to understand, guys. We will also not be able to troubleshoot all the problems. It's very straightforward and simple. You give the email address. We registered you already. You'll get the email, reset the password, and access a different link. Second time, do not use the same link. Okay, you second time when you are after resetting the thing, don't use the link. You directly go to magic.socexperts.com and enter the new password that you have entered. It's very simple. Okay, so don't use the link second time. Once you reset the password, go to magic.socexperts.com to log in, and you will be able to log in. And you cannot access all these details unless you complete your profile first. So unless you complete this and save it, right? So you will not be able to access anything. The big guy, what's your name? I see that you are interacting a lot. I better get to know your name rather than just calling you big guy all the time. Okay, I want somebody to answer big guy's question. What is Shivam? I want somebody to answer Shivam's question. What is server? Barracuda Network, Barikat, I don't know what is Barikat, but Barracuda Networks, they have email gateway, web gateway. What is what? Obviously, the company, let's say Cisco is a company name, right? So Cisco is not a firewall. Cisco is the name of the company. Their firewall, they have multiple firewalls. The one is ASA. The popular firewall is ASA, Adaptive Security Appliance, or at least put the model name, right? So Meraki, yes. All right, guys. So that's it from my side. Please remember tomorrow we have a class. Okay. We'll meet again tomorrow to start discussing about threat intelligence. Okay. By now you should be able to complete two assignments. That is vendors for network security solution and vendors for endpoint security solution. So for these two assignments, you should be able to share, let's say, complete the assignments. I'll share these answer templates in the group, so even people who do not have access can also complete it. Thanks a lot, guys. You guys have a wonderful rest of the day. Take care. Bye bye. See you tomorrow.